Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Jordan and you're with the weekly review for FX Delta. This week I was away, so I couldn't do it on a Monday, but that's still fine because we still have a few setups which are developing at the moment, and it would be very nice if we can manage to catch a few pips with them. As you can see on the first scanner, because as usual I'm using two scanners on two charts, just loading majority of the instruments I'm using there, so it's not too much in one chart. On the first one there isn't much going on, we have many blank spots, and that tells us one thing only: the moves already happened. Okay, either the move is currently developing or it already happened. And you know what one arrow means? It means we have a delta setup. Two arrows means we have a delta setup plus trading setup on it. So that being said, let's jump to the list that I have created for us and analyze what do we have at the moment. Well, first of all, we can split the scanner in these multiple categories. 4-hour chart with the lower time frames, this is the short-term trading. Daily delta patterns together with the 1-hour and 4-hour chart, this is short-term mid trading. Okay, and then we have weekly plus monthly charts. This is where we have the longer term trading. So depending on your account size, depending on whatever you prefer, you can go ahead and analyze those based on the time frames. And you know that in those videos the highest I usually go is maximum with the weekly chart, because monthly is really only for a small group of people that are actually using investments, and we do that basically privately or in the Telegram groups. So starting with dollar yen. Okay, this is my chart, and as you can see we have already gotten the bounce right here from the bottom. First of all, we're trading in a bullish momentum, right? Price are creating higher highs, higher lows. That was the last bullish delta setup. We got the hidden divergence, we got the pair bouncing from this beautiful zone, and this is where the bullish move was provided. In other words, we want to see the price holding above the buffer zone, okay, which is the bottom of this channel, and we also want to see the price giving us pullbacks and then continuation. So if you do trade this leg up, well done, fantastic. If you didn't, then wait for pullbacks and then continuations. But bottom line is, we want to see the price correcting itself when it's bullish, correcting itself down and then buying, okay? And vice versa, when we have bearish momentum, we want to see the price correcting and then sell this correction. So if you're currently in a place where the price moved, and you can start looking and expecting possible corrections, because this is exactly what we have on the 4-hour chart. We have false breaks, we have divergences. That means we're now looking for short-term pullbacks at least, right? So we need to wait for those pullbacks to appear. We need to get the setups that we require, and then and only then we can actually start looking and trading the buys. Next one is Aussie dollar weekly chart alone. So I'm going to go over it very quickly. You know my opinion that we are, well, at least I am bearish. This is all based on the monthly and the weekly charts. Now the weekly chart is also providing us with this bearish delta pattern. Okay, since last weekly bar closed, we can say, okay, this is now a bearish delta pattern. In other words, we need to see pullbacks that we can sell. And if we're requiring to see these pullbacks, that means in the very short term, because this is weekly chart, in the short term we can try to trade these corrections or potential corrections, because we have no idea if it's going to just stop and act according to our plan. It could just fly up and, right, it's the market. But based on our analysis, we can say, all right, we can drop to the lower time frames and we can actually look for these bullish setups on the lower time frames. And the first setup was Aussie dollar. Okay, we had this bullish momentum, fantastic bullish momentum, pullbacks, continuations, and this is now 5-leg structure. That setup was, by the way, covered in an independent video, okay, also on my channel, so you can go back and check it out. And I'm also sharing the idea of inside the new video with the updates where we're again looking for pullbacks and continuations, and this is all for the short term. So before we can start looking for these possible sales in the combination of weekly, daily, even on the 4-hour chart, we need to see rallies, guys. We need to see these rallies and only then look for the sells. Then we have the list Kiwi dollar. This is pretty much the same idea as Aussie dollar. We are looking for bullish momentum, bullish corrections, okay? And once those possible bullish corrections are finished, we can start looking for the sells. Until then, in the very short term, we can be looking for pullbacks and continuation higher. Next one, Euro Aussie. Just wait for the tick. Euro Aussie, here we go. Weekly plus daily, bullish. 4-hour chart plus the smaller time frames is bearish. That means we have mixed sentiment. Longer run, longer term is still bullish, shorter term is under bearish pressure and control. And when we go to the charts, let's first of all check out the weekly chart. You will see that this last bullish pattern that appeared right here was under divergence, okay? And since this pattern is under divergence, that means, and also false breaks, that means we want to see hidden divergence appearing before we can actually start considering the buys. Do we have hidden bullish divergence here? The answer is no, we don't. And on top of that, we have on the 4-hour chart bearish delta pattern. Okay, so everything is pointing to the downside. And the delta pattern is okay, it is fine, but it's not according to our rules yet. And that means we can easily go ahead and check out the lower time frames. Now on the lower time frames, this is our 4-hour chart bearish pattern. The divergence, the hidden divergence was already delivered, and that means we can expect the price to continue lower. Question is, how exactly do we trade it? If that would be leg number 4, okay, actually, yeah, 1, 2, and now we can expect either flat correction or double wave. So if it's going to be a flat consolidation here, that would mean we need to see a triangle that has at least 4 points, right? Ideally 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but minimum 4. Currently at that stage, we only have 1 and nothing. So that's one of the reasons I believe the setup that we have right here on the 30-minute chart could be a bit more aggressive than usual. And if we're going to trade it, it has to be with very, very tiny risk, just because the possibility of getting one more push higher is very likely to happen. And not only that, but as long as this low is holding, in fact, we can get a double wave. So these two scenarios definitely in play. I know this is the beginning of a possible reversal, and if that would be the case, the pair would be moving like crazy. But according to the rest of the analysis, this sell is slightly more aggressive, and that means this is the setup I'm referring to, and that means the breakout we're getting here could be a trap and the price could start pushing higher. Now on the other hand, let me just remove all these objects for a second. On the other hand, you'll see that as the price went below the previous lows, okay, I'm referring to this one and then this one, it is actually remaining there for a few bars, first, second, third bar or so, and that means we have momentum. If the price is going to be rejecting that level, usually what you're going to see is 1, 2 and then rejection. Okay, that at the moment looks like a classical breakout. Momentum is here, looks good. The only place where we have potential divergence is between these two. So again, I believe it makes sense for this sell to be traded, but only with a very tiny risk. The other reason why the risk should be lower is this one. We have the previous swing, and once the price crosses below, which is just a few pips away, we're inside and already in bullish pressure because of this potential bullish divergence. Now technically speaking, if that would be continuing lower, even though we don't have ABCD wave, we have 161.8, okay, right here, which is below. But I don't like trading when there is divergence against me. Okay, so again, I like the setup, I like the momentum. I just would love to see something more conservative in terms of the actual sell setup, which I can go ahead and attack without thinking too much how to make it work. Okay. Next one is EuroCAD. And for EuroCAD, where is that? EuroCAD here. We have mixed sentiment, guys. Weekly is bullish, daily is bearish. Okay, so going and checking out what's happening there. Let's start from daily chart this time. Daily bearish. However, this bearish setup, which is right here, is what? Pausing here for a second, think about it. What is this bearish setup? Got it? Anti-convergence setup, guys. And that means we need extra confirmation before we go ahead and trade it. Why? Because the momentum is shrinking. And when we're talking about delta, we want to see the momentum expanding. We want to see volume, we want to see momentum, we want to see people buying or selling, and not people closing positions and actually shrinking it. So even though that is mathematically okay and fine for the calculation, we as the human can say, all right, yeah, that's true, but there is anti-convergence here. On the other hand, price is trading inside this pattern. That means anytime price is touching the top, we can expect to see the bottom, and once the price touches the bottom, we can expect to see the top. Last time the price touched the bottom, and now we can expect for the price to go higher and actually reach the top of it, or the downtrend line of this pattern, right? And if I go ahead and measure with the Fibonacci, you'll see that 100% is somewhere around here, which using the same angle of how the first leg developed, you can see where we go, exactly towards this place, which now becomes a very strong magnet zone for me, and I can go ahead and mark it and expect for the price to reach this level. So overall, the sells, in my opinion, here are not very attractive. Okay, I would love to see something better like this one and then sell, but then we're going to have invalidation. So more or less, the sells for me are not attractive at all, and most likely I'm not going to trade them. When it comes to the buys, and this is the weekly chart now, we can see that the weekly bullish delta pattern looks much better. Why? This is momentum. This is momentum. There is no divergence besides this one on the histogram, but this divergence was already cancelled okay, and we have green light to go with the buys with the hidden divergence which appeared afterwards. So hidden divergence, first spike up, push down, spike up, and this is how we got the pattern. In other words, in my opinion, any setup we get on the lower time frame should be used as an opportunity for a buy. What else can we say about the weekly chart? Easy. Continuing divergence. So first of all, it started as hidden divergence, and then we have first, second, third low, maybe even fourth low here. I don't want to zoom in. It gives me the same idea. Bullish continuing divergence, meaning continuation higher together with this lovely setup. So EuroCAD, I remain bullish, guys, and I will be looking for buys. I just need to see a good setup, pullbacks, corrections, levels, and we're ready to attack it. That's about EuroCAD. Next one, pound Aussie. Okay, pound Aussie. The setup here is lovely. Let me just show you that on the scanner right here. So Euro Aussie, pound Aussie are the only two with double arrows, double confirmation, meaning delta plus an actual setup. So let's go ahead and see how does it look in reality. Fantastic move down. Trend lines were broken, momentum is created, it all looks perfect. First look at it, amazing, right? Then we have, actually it's right here, the hidden divergence. So the hidden divergence was formed already, leg number one, correction, and this hidden divergence turned into continuing divergence right here. Now we have two waves on the 4-hour chart, okay, and I would expect for the price to continue lower. Already everything by the book, already this 30-minute setup has all the reasons to continue lower. Now, why is this setup slightly more aggressive than usual? Because when we go ahead and consider this leg as the middle leg of the count, okay, we can expect for the price to reach the 50% and then continue lower, which was not in fact reached. We also have trend line which was not yet broken, and using the Fibos here, now it becomes a bit overcrowded, but I think you got the point. We can create and mark here a magnet zone for ourselves. This magnet zone is basically the 50% retracement of that zone, okay, of this move or leg down, and then the double wave right here. So that's the only reason which puts slightly more aggressiveness into the setup. But in other words, my idea would be first attack here. If it fails, I'm going to look for the next zone to be reached and then look for the sells. One more thing I would like to mention, this time this is the daily chart. Here we also had the divergence plus convergence idea, classical reversal setup, guys. In other words, that means we need to see pullbacks and continuations. As you can see, the MACD is still pretty far away even from the green zone, and left alone hidden divergence to appear. In my opinion, we are not going to see hidden divergence. Why? Because usually when we have a reversal, things tend to happen pretty fast, at least in the first few waves, okay? So in my opinion, we're going to stick and leave this setup as it comes to hidden divergences to the 4-hour chart alone. Daily maximum we are going to see something like that, and then continuation on the indicator. And in terms of price, that's the maximum I would believe we can see, okay? So why I'm saying this, that we can have a double wave on daily chart, because if this is the way how it's going to correct, of course this is our invalidation now, the first leg here, so we have leg number 1, correction, leg number 2. And if we're going to sell and we're going to be involved inside this daily correction, which in the 4-hour chart is the pattern we're trading and on the lower time frames, we need to look for signs against, and if those signs appear, we need to manage our trade accordingly, which means cash out, stop loss to break even, etc, etc. Okay, keep that scenario in mind. It's very it's not very likely to happen, but I would like to cover pretty much all scenarios, all ideas that I can come up with a few steps in ahead, so I'm pretty much prepared for any case and be as conservative as possible. You know my ideas and how I trade. So that's about pound Aussie. Absolutely a lovely setup to begin with. Just keep in mind about the risk reward and the signs against you, the potential signs against you. Alright, so pound cat is the next one on the list. As we can see, we have daily bearish momentum and weekly bullish momentum. Going to pound cat chart. Daily bearish momentum, this is the one we're referring to, well, the software is referring to, of course, which was never invalidated from the bottom or from the top, and the price currently got stuck inside this range. In other words, I think we can and we should be trying to trade this range. Well, first of all, the bearish delta pattern is in place, which means bearish pressure overall, right? We don't have a reversal scenario way to show us we're going up for bullishness. However, if we drop lower, you will see and notice that we simply have straight moves, more or less, well, not for this one, straight move here, with these tiny pullbacks on the way. And this kind of setups, to be honest, I really don't know how to trade. In other words, we have delta pattern, we have level, but we don't have a setup. And once that happens, I prefer to wait, and if something is provided, I can go ahead and try trading it later on. But if it doesn't, sorry, I'm skipping it. Next one on the list, pound Kiwi. Okay, let's see what do we have for pound Kiwi. 4-hour chart, which means short term we're bearish, longer term bullish. So let's see and focus pound Kiwi on the 4-hour chart plus 30-minute setup. Beautiful setup, but the problem is first time move was provided, second time move was provided, and that means if you did not join yet, okay, you better leave it alone. Of course, the alternative is to wait for pullbacks and sell the pullbacks, but in that case you must make sure that the risk reward would make sense, okay? Because if we take a look from here to here and here, the risk reward does make sense. And selling here means this one's target was already probably reached, at least the first one, or it's very close to it, and it's simply not worth it to attack it at the moment. So my idea would be either skip it or wait for pullbacks and always mind the risk reward. That's basically all, and that's why I'm well focusing on the 4-hour chart. Weekly chart, okay, downtrend divergence detected. Weekly chart, even though it has the bullish setup, we must of course consider it, and this time we even have the alert from the software that there is divergence against it, and that puts bearish pressure. That means we must see hidden bullish divergence in place. Okay, we must see divergence on the lower time frames confirming it, and only then you can start looking for potential bullish attempts. At that stage, not really. And besides that, you know how to handle multiple time frame differences in the arrows. When one arrow is, let's say on the 4-hour chart, we have bearish, weekly have bullish. We want to see this setup being developed. We want to see this setup being invalidated either from the bottom or from the top, and only then actually start looking for the higher time frame if the hidden divergence is already there. Okay, so that's pound, kiwi, franc, yen is the next one on the list. Daily plus weekly, bullish, 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 3 arrows, pretty much suggesting the same idea. In terms of setups on weekly chart, the one thing I'm seeing is a range. Okay, and we're kind of in the middle of the range, so not much, if you ask me, we can get from this setup. Daily chart, I love the way this momentum was developed. This is exactly what I'm looking for, a lot of momentum, but then we get this false break and we move, and here again we're getting something that I'm not a very big fan of. However, the hidden divergence was in place, we cannot say it was not there, it is there, and it managed to create a false break here, and now, as you can see, started the push. That means, in other words, as long as this low is holding, not the original invalidation, this one, this is the new low for me, and the trend line. Okay, as long as this is holding, I would like to see pullbacks and then continuations to the upside. It's all there, we just need to wait for the perfect setup to appear for us. Aussie franc. Aussie franc, bearish, bearish, bearish. Weekly and daily are bearish, monthly as well, which I'm skipping of course. But before we go ahead and start attacking this pair with the setups, let's see what's happening. Well, first of all, we have a double wave, and this double wave is not stopping at the 100% extension. That means we broke above a natural resistance, that was a resistance for us, and now it became a support. That means we're probably going to see pullbacks, and 161.8 is going to be reached as well. The MAs, you can see how they're pushing up. That starts to look a bit suspicious, guys, if you ask me. Okay, this possible bearish continuation and the correction we're expecting afterwards is very powerful, and this is the part I really don't like. Now on the other hand, we have here possible divergence to develop, right, daily or 1 hour charts, but again keep in mind, why did I take that, not this one, this one, keep in mind that the bottom trend line from these two lows is exactly here, meaning if that was, because I saw for some brokers it is divergence and it is picked up by the software, if it breaks low, the low, and we get the signal, this signal will be appearing exactly, look at all these zones here, it will be appearing exactly the 100%, above the 100% and above the trend line. So do you really want to sell on the top of this support? I wouldn't. It's simply the level that we have is very strong, and selling here, the least you can expect is to get a bounce. Okay, the least, unless there is some crazy momentum to just go ahead and break it immediately. In my opinion, 80% of the times, 8 out of 10, you're going to get at least a bounce. Okay, so if you're going to sell it anyway, the least you should do is wait for the pullback, and if not, then let's see the price going below this zone, and that's the 07220 zone or so, 2030 zone, and only then look for the pullbacks to sell it. Okay, a bit more advanced, is not as per the software, but when you have a strong level, you must respect it, guys. You can't just go ignore it and then suffer the losses. And of course, alternatively, if that doesn't happen, continuation up, fantastic levels slightly above, and then we have more levels right here where the 161.8 is, and this is where we can actually start enjoying sales as well. Caddy and Yen, bullish, 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 bullish everywhere. We actually got the daily post 1 hour chart, double arrow here as well, but the main focus is on daily and 4 hour chart with the bullish delta patterns that we got. So starting from daily chart, let's see what we have. We do have this bullish delta pattern, which has nothing against. There are no divergences, there are no anti-convergence, nothing. We can also see, based on the price action, that we're in a bullish channel and price is moving higher. Basically, we're in a bullish momentum. So delta agrees with the price action, lovely. Price gave us the pullback, it bounced from the most recent trend line right here, okay, based on this wave, because in reality that would be the most recent trend line, right? Something like this. So the one before, which I marked based on these lows, and voila, we got the bounce, bullish, hidden divergence in place as well, and the price is jumping higher. Daily chart looks awesome. Now 4 hour chart, what I wanted to really put some focus on is this high. Why this high? Because we had bearish momentum, and that was the final low, the final high from this bearish momentum, and this high, in my opinion, must be broken before we can consider this setup conservative setup here. Okay, if you're wondering why this is not the high I'm referring to, again, that was the final high in the downtrend, and this high was never broken. That means we need to see it broken before we can consider it as a conservative setup. Okay, I know the rest is there, but those are the little things and the little confirmations which, once they fit together, the setups really become very, very powerful. Okay, and if you learn how to identify these small things that could be a problem, you will be much, much better in the longer run. So Caddy and Yen, absolutely amazing opportunity. I love it. Okay, but at the moment, going here and buying this would be by the rules, definitely. But if you want to be more conservative, this one could be also another opportunity for you to go ahead and trade. Now, focusing on the 4 hour chart setup, we have a double wave, boom, and this double wave has 61.8 right here, right now. This double wave, if we go ahead and check out the previous high, which would be this high right here, we'll see that we have the potential divergence already. And that's again another small thing, small detail, which means we could easily see the push down and correction and going and forming here 1 hour chart or 30-minute chart range before we actually see the continuation higher. So that's why, once again, guys, if you want to be more conservative, wait for, was that 86, let me just make it yellow, 86, 80 zone to be broken before you consider the buys. And then one of the last ones would be gold, bearish, bearish, bearish. However, in this case, I wouldn't agree yet with the Delta software simply because of the price action. It was absolutely lovely the way it developed, divergence, false breaks, multiple false breaks, convergence with momentum was created here, perfect. And then we said, okay, that's the reversal pattern, Delta catches the momentum, let's see and wait for pullbacks and then sell it. Look at this pullback, look at it. Does that look like a pullback move? I don't think so, no. It went in just a few candles and broke through 61.8 immediately. Okay, and then that now looks like a correction, but this time this is a bullish wave. So in my opinion, we're going to see further continuation up, and this is why I'm not going to start selling gold yet. On the other hand, going to daily chart, we're going to notice that the commodity is trading inside a bullish channel, and that means bullish trend, and that's pure price action, and price action is superior to any software or whatever you have in mind. I think it all starts with price action, and you must always check it. That means for me we have these two moves, legs, waves, and no divergence. In other words, that was not enough for Delta pattern to detect it. The ratio was not there, but I think we're going to see one more push higher. So all that starts to tell me, well, we don't yet have a setup to sell, but even if we did, I would skip it. Okay? I think we're about to see new highs before we are actually going to have the opportunity to find something for a sell. And then we have silver, which I really have nothing to say about, because we are currently stuck in this range. That's the 4-hour chart range, and basically this commodity needs to gain momentum before I'll start trading it. Okay, so that's pretty much everything I have on my list, guys. The more important and interesting pairs and commodities. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave your comment below the video. Of course, if you like it, do subscribe, do like, do share, and I'm looking forward to talk to you in the Telegram groups. Bye for now.